Hello kids, and welcome to the Shadow Realm. Nah, I'm just messing with you. Welcome back everyone to Time Gaming. I'm yours for today, tomorrow, and the foreseeable future, Theodore Lu. So might be a little bit out of season for me to be wearing Santa outfit, but if you have been watching our Christmas skits, the Pale Spirit Santa in the Time Gaming cinematic universe is kind of like a boogeyman that will send you to the Shadow Realm for even the simplest mistake as walking a little bit too loud. Wait, that's just a normal German. But yeah, today I decided not to overthink about it and just make a little bit of a cheeky little tier list for the divas in the Pale Spirits Premium Halloween box. But yeah, the Premium Halloween box is a box that is pretty close to my heart just by the virtue of me owning 3 boxes of them behind here. I kind of wanted to make it spooky, so that's why I'm not putting on the lights. It is also a pretty hefty box. It comes with 2 Lily, it comes with 2 finishing dons, also gives you some good searches as well in foil. Some of the promos is also still pretty strong right now, well, at least in Diva format. So yeah, not much reason not to buy a lot of. So yeah, I'm going to make a very biased tier list that is not only kind of like seeing how strong the cards are, but also like how much I like the concept. Okay, so first of all, we have the Halloween party Ryoba, a really nice witch theme dress as well. Ryoba is as always very pretty, that's why she's the GOAT, she's the #1 diva, that's why she's not in the vote because they are afraid that nobody can win against her. Effect wise though, she does have a pretty cheap mirage that allows you to discard a Ryoba to kind of like take your deck further, which can be pretty nifty since Ryoba have like lots of cards that are basically finishers but not too much cards that basically helps you to build your field. Of course, since she is Shiny Heart, you do have access to Rabidalin as well. The When Summon effect itself is as usual with Ryoba, allows you to summon a Brave, although it's a little bit conditional. But on the other hand, you can also argue that she does have Core Shot, which is of course rare in yellow in general, so that might bump it a little bit. So I guess A on art, A on effect, so I guess we'll put her on A first, and we will see as we go that if you find something more interesting, then we might change it up a little bit. Okay, next we have the Halloween Witch Gendranis, Ryoba's #1 fan. She does have a pretty nifty mirage that is a little bit more expensive, kind of like a yellow recovery that I guess you can prepare for. The other effect pretty much helps you to summon your bigger Ryoba, but I suppose that in the end you kind of wanted to use either show up or on stage. So I'm not sure how much of a help that will be. Her team is only Twilight Gothic, unlike the newer gen that also has Shiny Hearts. That's a little bit easier to search. It does hurt the card a little bit, so I suppose. So effect wise, probably I'll put it on C first. Maybe we can move it again later. Art wise, I kind of like it. A little bit too close up, probably to show the witchy side of her dress. Probably a B on the look. So And next we have Halloween Vampire Noah Fleur, who will also get her own premium box soon. She has a pretty flashy effect that allows all of your Cossacks or higher lure to not be blocked. And then when she attacks, you can also send a core, which again in yellow pretty rare. And you can also increase as when you have more Mirage. Let's be a little bit pedantic about this because she herself is a cost 4. So if you have a second copy, then you will benefit from having her in the Mirage for her when attack effect, but not really for her Mirage effect. Also, the art is pretty good. Of course, she is in the playmat as well. I like Diana more though, so I'll put her on C for now. We'll see later, maybe we can put her higher later. And then of course, totally not biased, we have Diana, also a vampire in this case. She is a Cossack, so she is the one who actually benefits from having Noah in the Mirage soon. So let's see if her Mirage actually can benefit Noah. And I suppose, I suppose it kind of make more sense to kind of like set her in your Mirage and then like just summon the Vampire Noah or just summon other Noah. I think like Noah is more of like on the heavy hitter side, so maybe more of Diana for setup and Noah as your top end basically. Also, it allows you to draw every time you summon a floor. Yeah, normally speaking, you will summon a show up or an on stage during your main step. Use that effect to summon another floor during the attack step, and you get 2 extra hand every turn for just 3 cost 2 reduction. That is pretty nice. And when she attacks, she can refresh any Noah floor as well, so probably A compared to Ryoba. Yeah, I think like I probably will put Diana over Ryoba for now. I think like even though they are both specific with their effects, I think like Diana definitely gets you further, and I like Diana. So, and then next up we have the Halloween Zombie Fongnina, which is of course part of the Fonina premium box as well. She has a mirage that basically let one of your Fonina to stay on the field when they are removed from the field by the opponent by sending one card in your trash to the void, which is not going to be a problem for Faunina since her main thing is Corpus. And I suppose because Faunina's finishing is basically most of your Fauninas are probably going to be unblockable because of the Airy Dancer anyway, I suppose that's kind of worth it. And at 5 cost to reduction when summon or attack, Corpus 1 to your Faunina. That's probably the one that kind of like puts her down. Also art-wise, I think Faunina's main charm is more into that she is a very active girl. So having her art very close up kind of like makes it harder to see the dynamic movement that she actually has. Compared to Noah, of course, she is still way more versatile. So I'll put her in B. And then we have the Halloween Werewolf Witch Quartet, Flame Sandria. Gosh, that's a really long name that probably scares me way more than anything else in this video so far. Pretty like her Mirage effect personally, just for the funnies, because during the opposing turn, for each Witch Quartet name spirit you control, up to 4 you can increase the cost of every card in the opposing hand. So kind of like make it harder for them to play their card. But of course that also in Diva format it also kind of like becomes kind of irrelevant because how much Diva can kind of like cheat out the cost. So probably it's going to hinder your opponent a little bit, but considering 4 cost to reduction and then you have to have a pretty wide board for it to be very effective. And when she attacks also, if your opponent has 6 cards in their hand, they discard another 3 left, their choice, which is still pretty cracked, but also they can leave the most important part, probably the recursive, and then that pretty much will still give them enough to kind of like survive your attack and finish you. Probably C. I mean like her costume is definitely not as elaborate as Noah, because I think like werewolf, you're supposed to be like, unlike vampire who are usually nobles, like very rich people, like werewolf are more like normal people. But also like she is more like she is wearing like lots of just props, so maybe very slightly just because of the design Noah kind of like wins a little bit. And then we have Halloween Ghost Rias Uruvoran. Of course, the very adorable Rias. The Mirage is 3 cost 1 reduction, so it's kind of expensive. The problem is probably because now the Rias Riolu deck is pretty much reliant on like just bashing your opponent with smaller spirits and then finishing your opponent with the Monochrome Fantasia Riolu. So you don't really rely on summoning spirits with on stage or show up anymore. So the Mirage is pretty much not going to be used as much. The when summon for 3 cost 2 reduction is pretty neat though, because you can return any Diva family spirit card from your trash to the hand. Lots of options that you have there. I suppose just because of her recursion, kind of like also how her cost fits into the deck and how much I actually feel like I had problems like dealing with her. Probably I'll put down Ryoba to top of B, and she will be okay. So here's the bias. I think Diana is still higher, just because this list is not purely based on their performance, but also how much I like them. And of course, I like Diana more, so I'll put Diana on top of A, after that Rias, and then Ryoba probably top of B. Also, as a Halloween ghost, it is really adorable, but again, just like Plum, yeah, it's really adorable, but doesn't really give her too much of a bonus point. And of course, the next one is also another one that I'll probably be biased as biased as I could, because it's of one of my top 2 Diva, Halloween Mommy Seclermetum. Probably now, her only weakness so far after I use her is her lack of grand style, but also that's pretty much the only thing that kind of like balances her existence. That's like otherwise you can just simply like use all the recursion that you have, kind of like Monochrome Fantasia Sandy, to kind of like just recurse the one Monochrome Fantasia Sandy that you actually have. Of course, this card has every team, although for now I only find her shining the most, of course, in Grand Siesta, her original team, because of course she has a Mirage that helps you to accelerate your core charge to your producer Grand Walker Nexus. So for Grand Walker Nexus that requires lots of cores, kind of like Saraswati, that can help a lot. Also now, especially if you are playing in Diva format, since Grand Siesta's strongest recursion, which is Monochrome Fantasia Sandy, is limited to 1. She kind of helps to close up that gap. She is still a Sacclarmetum, she is still a Grand Siesta, but she still can be searched by lots of cards in the deck. It's a cost 3-2 reduction, which is still pretty nice. But yeah, of course I am very biased because I do feel like I do find like every advantage just that she gives you like first hand. Maybe the only minus point is on the costume, mostly just because yeah, it's I guess like mommy costume is a little bit hard to kind of like improve on because like yeah, kind of like the thing with mom is just you have to wrap your whole body in bandages, so when you want to improve on that, it kind of becomes a Ragnarok Online ancient mommy kind of situation where you basically just where we just tack on accessories on top of that. But since I am very biased, this card on top of A. Probably, I don't know, either top of A or bottom of S. Or just S. No. This is my tier list. She has to be S. And next up we have Halloween Cat Nei Rantel. Nei also has all teams when she would lift the field by opposing effects. As long as you have a song magic in your field, she can stay on the field. For 4 cost 2 reduction, something that can stay on your field pretty much permanently, since I think at this moment of time Diva does have piercing, but not as much card that can negate the cards that are leaving the field. More kind of like staying power, but at 4 cost 2 reduction, probably going to have a little bit more niche if she has a higher cost, maybe with a double symbol, then maybe she has some more niche. Since I suppose Nei's other card also can give her unblockable, so maybe in that case can make her a little bit of a finishing candidate. Maybe not as a main finisher, but kind of like a sub finisher. So kind of like you use the Nei that gives her unblockable to kind of just hit your opponent with a vanilla that is a little bit harder to remove. The Mirage with 4 cost 2 reduction is pretty much the cost of most of the song magic that is not kneel down everyone. But I suppose in this meta it kind of is relevant against Wong Nina just because she can lock you from using cards on your reserve to pay for flash effects. It's still a little bit of a hard ask since you do need her. She didn't give you access to more cards, but she also requires you to have at least another song magic in hand. Suppose she has a C, but on top of C just because there are potential there, but not for now. And then bonus point for the costume. I feel like I like the design more than Flam's design, but it's also the same problem. She's just wearing a cat ears. No bonus point, I guess. Just top of C. No, and then we are in the last card already. She's supposed to be the Halloween Sector Bandrisel, but I suppose like in the department of costume, before we get into the effects, I think like she actually does a way better job to be a ghost than Rias. For 3 cost 2 reduction, you do get a Mirage that lets you not only destroy an opposing 10k PP or less spirit when your Diva family burst activates, you also get to set another 1 once per turn. And her deck can be really tough to crack. Not really unbeatable, but yes, it can be a really long battle. When she is summoned, she can also kind of like use a catalyzed space effect where you can immediately activate one of your bursts that is from the Diva family. And also draw a card afterwards. Lots of options there. I personally think she only loses to Sacclarmetum in this. Bias speaking, top of A. Just because no one else can stand beside Sacclar in my heart. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that short tier list. Do let us know if you guys want to see tier lists from other sets as well. My list is of course very biased, so I do want to know your list as well. Definitely, there are some, I tried to reason a little bit, but of course none of these are going to be none of these are objective. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know your list. So yeah, I guess that's been everything that I can share for this time. Happy Halloween, guys. Have fun responsibly. That has been me, Theodore Lu, your host. And I'll see you all again next time. Bye bye.